Is it okay now? Can you feel it?
8.0, the last two, the 8.0 and 13.0, are for body treatments. Why are we dividing up the face or the body in squares in order to perform the treatment, and why you see this drawing? Got here the distance between this one and that one is the same as this one and that one.
No.
In this video, what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the intensity of the treatments and intensity of Hifu treatments. The reason for it is that this is essential to understand in the single line Hifus, that is to say the normal classic Areton Hifu and the 3-in-1 for face and body, how many shots you should perform on a client's face or body or area of the face or the body. First of all, it is important to recap that Hifus have got two types of cartridges. One type of cartridges has a length of line length of 25 millimeters, and these are the 3.0, 4.5, the 8.0, 13.0, the last two, the 8.0 and 13.0, are for body treatments. But for body treatments there's also other cartridges which we're not going to talk about in this video. However, all the cartridges of the single line Hifus have normally a length of 25 millimeters. This is now an industry standard. The 1.5 cartridge has normally got, so far in all devices that we've seen that has a 1.5 depth cartridge, the length of the line, the maximum length, is 15 millimeters. Now, therefore, when you do the treatment the first time around, you are encouraged to divide up the face, that area of the face where you are allowed to use that particular cartridge. It's not as if you are allowed. It's extremely advisable to use a certain cartridge on an area of the face and not on others, because some damage could be caused. But this is a topic for a different part of the training. But now we're actually focusing on the squares, on how you actually divide up the face, and hence how many shots per area or per square you're going to actually put on the face or the body. This is the main question we're trying to actually answer in this video, the main question. So, number one, why are we dividing up the face or the body in squares in order to perform the treatment, and why you see these drawings? These drawings are meant only for your training the first time or second time you perform these treatments. So these are used for your training only, and then after a while, maybe 2 to 3 treatments, then you do not need to put any more squares or draw any more squares. You pretty much look at the screen of your device. It reminds you where you can go and place the you can treat with that particular cartridge on the face or the body, and you go ahead and do it without making any drawings or anything of the sort. So this is done, the drawings are only done the first or second time you actually do the treatment, because then it should start to become second nature, so you know your stuff, so you don't need to do it anymore. But anyway, let's go and understand the concept of intensity. Is an N-C-T of the Hifu treatment. What is it? And what is it determined by? This is determined by two things. One is the power of the treatment, or the line of the dots, let's put it that way. So the higher the power of the dots that you are firing using the Hifu, that's what you get. I'm going to, yeah. So the higher the power of these dots, the stronger is the intensity, the higher the intensity of the treatment. But also number two, which is quite important as well. It's not the with a D, the density of the dots that you put on the face, or the area of the treated. So what I mean by that is, the more dots per centimeter square, the more dots in that area, that square where you're treating, the more intense the treatment, given the power level being the same. So the more dots you place, the more intense the treatment. That is very, very important. So by increasing the number of lines, or increasing the number of dots that you place on the face or the body, you increase the intensity of the treatment. As you know, the cartridges have got always, for Hifu professional devices up until today, a finite number of shots. Therefore, cartridges are consumables, and hence you can determine with your clients a price which you both agree on the number of shots that you're going to place during the treatment, or you can also charge per shot. And all our devices have got a shots counter. Therefore, you can agree on that price with your customer, which is something that we would recommend. So you agree on a price per shot with your customer, and off you go. And you either, as you go along, you'll tell your customer how many shots you're firing, roughly how many shots you intend to fire, and you can determine an estimate of your price. So this is how you can actually do it, because these cartridges have got a finite number of shots. Therefore, it is important that the customer is aware of that, is aware of the price as well. So the number of shots in the Hifu Classic and other devices, sometimes the software tells you how many shots it is recommended, but take those recommendations with a pinch of salt, or you call it in English, because that is not set in stone. You can determine the number of shots the way you want, or the way you and the customer want. There's no hard and fast rule, so you can determine that. But in the Areton Hifu Classic, there's the function of the software telling you roughly how many shots you've got to fire. But again, you can actually far exceed or decrease, or actually don't even meet those number of shots per the area that the software tells you. So it is completely up to you, the customer, to determine the number of shots per area. This is very, very important. Now, again, what we talked about here is the intensity of the treatment, and the intensity of the treatment using Hifu is determined by the power level, which you can determine easily using the device, and the density of the dots on the skin. Now, another very important thing, so the density of the dots on the skin. Now, why in this part we're going to talk about how you can place the dots on the skin in the usual squares, and we're going to talk about two squares. The squares with the 1.5mm cartridge, which has got 15mm sides, and any other cartridge which have got 25mm sides at most. So if you remember from our training, that length of each cartridge you can reduce to a minimum of 5mm for both, if I remember well, the 25mm length cartridges, which are the 3.0, 4.5, 8.0 and 13.0. So all these cartridges, but the only one that's got 15mm length is the 1.5, and that you can reduce the length as well. So each cartridge other than the 1.5 has a length of maximum of 25mm. So we are going to make this example assuming that you're using the maximum length in both cartridges, the 1.5 and any other types of cartridges. So let's talk about, say for example, the 3.0. Now, the length of the 3.0, the maximum is 25mm. So let's draw our square. Let's assume this is a square, 25mm. Okay. So you can, let's assume that you place the cartridge in this direction, you fire the shot, and then you displace it, you fire the shot, and so on. So, as you know, you can determine the pitch or the distance between the dots using the software of your Hifu, whatever Hifu you may have. That may be the Hifu Classic or the 3-in-1 single line. So let's assume that the cartridge is this way and you fire the shots this way. So you can tell the device to place the shots at 1.5mm distance between each other. So I don't know exactly how many you can actually get in 25. So 1.5 you should be able to get. If the distance between the spots is 1.5, I've got my calculator here, then within 25mm you should be able to get 16 dots. So, and I'm not going to be able to get the exact 16 dots here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, let's say. And then, so if the distance between these two dots here, or let's say الأثل zoom, is 1.5mm, ideally when you do your next shot, you've got to displace that cartridge exactly downwards by 1.5mm, and this is impossible. Or it is possible if you really try hard and you take all the measurements, you really try hard, but let's say in order to be, it's almost impossible or extremely expensive for you to be extremely accurate in doing it really perfectly, If you do it perfectly, what you've got here, the distance between this one and that one is the same as this one and that one. And this would be the perfect scenario, but this is not the case. So what happens in practice, I'm just gonna see whether I can do this thing quite quickly. What happens in practice is that you can either do approximations. So you would actually do 16 lines here in this direction, or you can divide it up into this process in another way. So you take 16 divided by 2, because you would need, if you did it this way, you would need to do it 16 shots in the square in this direction, hoping to actually do it as well as possible. But the other way you can do it is do 16 divided by 2. I still need to get my calculator, I do apologize, I'm so lazy with my mind. 16 divided by 2, and then you get 8, so you do 8 shots this way, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then spaced, each shot spaced by 3 millimeters apart, and then 8 shots that way, so perpendicular. The reason is so that you would spread as evenly as possible these 16 shots. That is the purpose of doing that, nothing else. And the same applies to the 1.5 millimeter cartridge. As I say, you'd get your square, which is 15 millimeter by 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maybe 8. You'd get 8 dots, and then 8 dots here, and then 8 dots there, spaced exactly 1.5 millimeters apart, that way or that way. So have a look. 15, if I've got it right. So what is it? 15 divided by 1.5. Yeah, you get 10. If it's the spacing between the dots is 1.5 millimeters, you would need to get 10 dots here, 10 dots there, 10 dots there, and then 10 dots in this direction to be perfect. So 10 dots you really would need to do, so 10 shots in this direction, perfect shots in this direction, or do 5 and 5, which are spaced in between each shot 3 millimeter apart. Basically, you double the distance between the shots if you take the approach of this type of the perpendicular shootings, of the lines. So with a single line Hifus, the way you can deliver the shots is either do it as perfectly as you can, distancing each line exactly the same distance that you've set up the software to have the dots displaced by. So if the dots are displaced by 1.5 millimeters each, then you would ideally need to displace your shot 1.5 millimeter each, which is quite difficult. Or you can displace it by the double amount of that spacing of the shots and do it half vertically and half perpendicularly to the direction you've done before. So say for example, I fire 5 shots here because I've got 10 dots here, because they are spaced between 15 mil at 1.5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots, for example. Or I can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you still get that same number of dots within that area. And with these treatments with a single line, you're never going to get a perfect distribution of dots within that square. Never, because you are a human. The only way you can get an perfectly even distribution is if a computer we're able to control it, and this is possible with the multi-line. With the multi-line, you're able to control the distance between the shots in both directions, and you place your cartridge and the machine does the job. So hopefully this is been of use, and continue watching these brief videos. We're going to do some cuts of other interesting treatments that we've done in the past. It's not going to take long, we just enjoy them. We're selecting the best from the treatments that we've shown you in the past. So we hope that you found this video useful, and the main purpose of this video was for you to determine the number of shots per square using a single line Hifu device. So that is the main purpose of this video. If you'd like to know more, let us know, and thank you very much for watching. Enjoy these brief videos which we're going to show you right now.
So basic settings are restored. Steady. Is it okay now?
Yes.
Can you feel it?
Yes, do it.
Okay. So moving. Okay. Move a little bit more. Okay. Can you still feel it?
Yes.
It's bearable. Do you want to increase the power level?
No.
Okay. Going to work in this way. Is it bearable? Bearable?
Yes. And it's always for this and this, huh? So.
Yes. We're gonna go to this
area?
And for this also?
Not indicated for that area.
Nee. Veel te dunne huid, joh, daar. Volgens mij. Jammer dat wij niet vlak bij elkaar wonen, hè. Dan kunnen we het samen doen, hè. Kom je bij mij werken?